Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining, and apologies for the technical delay. It looks like the link that we had copied was duplicated, so it was referring people back to the one from last week, but this is the new link for the shifts demo. If there's anybody else on your team that was supposed to join, please do refer them to this link, to this specific live event link. And Darby, do you want to go ahead and get started? Do you want to wait a moment for people to jump over?
You know what? Let's go ahead and get started for the sake of time. But Bridget, if you could copy and paste the link to this meeting right below your message, maybe then we could copy and paste it out if we need to. All right. So let's just go ahead and get started here for the sake of time. So as many of you already know, this is the All Things Teams in Government session. Today we're going to be covering Microsoft Shifts. Bridget, you could just slide forward there for us. As many of you already know us, my name is Darby O'Brien. I am a customer success manager in state and local government, and I work with government agencies all across the US, and I'm based out of Reston, Virginia.
And my name is Bridget Ballard. I'm also a customer success manager that manages customers in the Pacific Northwest, and my home office is in Bellevue, Washington.
All right, so like I mentioned, today we're going to cover Microsoft Shifts. And Microsoft Shifts is a tool inside of Teams for schedule management. It helps you create, update, and manage schedules for your team. You can create a schedule from scratch right inside of the platform, or you can actually import one from Excel if you have a past process that you like to follow. It's a really great application. It's got a lot of functionality. We're excited to walk you through it today. And I also wanted to note that Shifts is in the Teams mobile app as well, and it works really well from there, especially if you are using this for a frontline worker scenario. We actually added a step-by-step mobile guide to this deck, and we're going to send it out to all of you.
Great, thanks, Darby. And I think we have a few questions in the Q&A. If you'd like to get over to those while I go ahead and proceed with the rest of the content.
Of course.
So specifically, these are the two views that you will see as a Shifts user. So the left side is specifically for those that are schedule managers or supervisors. The right-hand side is the employee mobile app view. So if you do have users that don't have access to a desktop, we do have the availability to see Shifts on the mobile application. Now, typically the scenarios for Shifts are for first-line workers, but recently we've seen many of our customers using Shifts for return to work scenarios, specifically scheduling shifts for certain areas around the office, so your management team knows that you're able to social distance easily. At the end of this PowerPoint, I do have all the resources to those specific demos, and we will be sharing it out after. Do you have anything else to add there, Darby, before I go ahead and jump into the demo?
No, I don't think so. I think this one really comes to light in the demo, so I think if we could just move over to that.
Great. So give me 1 second and I'm going to change my view. Great, are you able to see that, Darby? Should be in my Teams view.
Yep, I can see it.
Perfect. So you'll see in here that I'm now inside of my Teams application. And so how specifically do you get over to Shifts? Well, you'll see on the left-hand side that I have Shifts pinned to my navigation portal. Now, this cannot be natively done by user in GCC. It does have to be set in the admin panel, and we have instructions for that in our PowerPoint that we can share after. If you don't see Shifts right here pinned, you'll want to go to the 3 ellipses and click on it here or type it in to search for it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the application. Awesome. So this is what a fully filled out schedule looks like. Specifically, we made this schedule for a transportation use case within the call center and within our field repairs. What I'm going to do is break over into an empty shift so I can show you what it looks like to build it from scratch, and then we'll jump back into this one so I can show you some additional features. So as you can see here, we have something called groups. You'll see service call center and field repairs. You can break up groups by certain types of job descriptions, or you can break them up by different organizations. It is completely up to you. And if you'd like to add a group, we have just up here, add group. And then in each of these groups, you can add the specific employees that pertain to them. So let's go ahead and jump over into an empty schedule so I can show you what it looks like to build out this from scratch. Great, so we have a few in here and I'm going to add on to it. So like I mentioned before, we have our service call center group. Now, how do we go and add the field services group? I simply click on add group. It gives me an unnamed group right here. Now I can rename it and I'm ready to go. Great, so there's more than 2 people in my service call center, so I want to make sure I have the whole team included, and so I'll go in here and add people, and I'll want to add, Deborah doesn't look like she's on our team, but let's go ahead and add Jordan. So now Jordan, everyone is in our service call center, and now I am ready to go ahead and build out the shifts. So there's 2 different types of shifts that you can produce out to your employees. One being open shifts up here, which are ones that you don't have coverage for, and your employees can request to go ahead and apply for one of those open shifts, or you can apply them directly to the employee. So let's first start with an open shift. So I want to click on the 3 ellipses that you see here, add open shift, and then it takes me into this panel. Now you'll see I have the availability to choose how many slots are open. I'd like to make 2 slots open for this one, and I want it to be the early morning shift because I don't have coverage for the early morning shift that day. Now you do have the availability to put in for a break. You can designate the time here. And we know that this is based off of typically the regulations per your organization, how many breaks that your employees do get. So I can set a 30-minute break in here if I'd like, and I can add a shift note as well. So I want to call this the opening and I think it's best practice to go ahead and label all your shifts specifically with what it is. So I like to label mine with the opening center shift. And then you can also add things, add shift activities. So for instance, what I've been telling people with COVID and people returning to work, for instance, I like to set a reminder to clean workspace, wear a mask, and then you add new. And let's say we want to remind them of opening procedures. And you have the option to make them paid. Since they are things that are just included in the job, I will leave them as yes, but you can add as many as you want. And when I click done, you'll see those shift activities actually show up inside of this. So now I want to click save. And you'll see that my opening service call center shift is now among the open shifts. Now, I want to give Jordan his first shift of the week, so I know he's typically open on Tuesday, so let's go ahead and give him one. And you'll see it looks very similar to what it looked like when you had an open shift, except up here you see that it is assigned to a specific person. So I know that he typically likes to work afternoons, so we'll put him at 2 p.m., 6:30 p.m. Great. So now I've given Jordan his first shift of the week and it appears right down here. Something I'd like to call out before I switch views is you can see their hourly tally under their names. If you know that they can only work a certain amount of time, it's easy to see that right there. Now, I'd like to switch back over into the shift that was fully created so I can show you all a few more features. Great, so this is the fully completed version of the one that I was just working on. A few other things to call out before we switch over to Darby. Up at the top, you have something called day notes. For me, I like to use this as reminders and just things that the employee should be checking before they begin their work. Here I have, check weekly guidance for latest COVID safety measures via email. And the rest of my days, I just have reminders about the reporting that should be done before the end of shift. Now, a common question that we get is, okay, well, the shifts are typically the same week over week. There might just be a few people switching around. How do I actually copy this schedule and reiterate it week over week? At the top up here, you have something called copy schedule. And then it brings up a panel for you to actually choose which dates you want to copy and choose which date you want to copy your selection to. This is extremely helpful, as I know I've been on the other side of planning schedules for the week, that you don't have to go in and retype it over and over again, or even when it was on paper, you don't have to go in and rewrite them over again. And then also, when there has been an edit to the team, this share with team is going to glow purple. So anytime I make an adjustment to the schedule, it's going to glow purple. And I'll want to share with the team because I want to let them know what shifts are open and if they've received a new shift. So I'm going to go ahead and click share with team. And now everybody will be aware of the new shifts that I have added to the calendar. Last few things before I switch over, we do have this clock in button. If you would like your employees to use our service for clocking in and out, you have the ability to turn this on, and you have the ability to export your timesheet. You also have the ability on these 3 ellipses to actually export and import schedules from Excel. So if you build out a schedule in Excel and you prefer to do that, Shifts will actually give you a template to do that with, and you can import it here. Lastly, switching over to the left-hand side, you'll see our requests. This is where all of our employees can go to request time off, request to swap. You'll see this one, Joanna requested to swap her time with Deborah, and Deborah accepted. And now I have to approve it, and I'm the manager. So I'm going to say approved, thank you, and I will quickly approve it. So now that shift will go over to Joanna and away from Deborah. You'll see Joanna also requested time off. She said, I have a family event this day, and I have the ability to go in here and approve this. Now, people often ask, how can I change what my users put in for time off? We do have our settings area over here next to our requests, and down here you can see they have sick leave, parental leave, paid time off, and you can add all your customized options based off of the regulations for your organization. This settings panel is also where you control the time zone, when you want to start the week, and then most importantly at the bottom, your time clock. If you don't want this available, you can turn it off. If you do want it available and you want location tracking on mobile, you can change the settings in here. Currently, I have all location detection turned off, so my users can go in and turn the time clock on, but it is not tracking where they are. And then again, you can export that time reporting here. Is there anything else to add, Darby, before I switch it over to you?
I don't think so. I will go ahead and share my screen here.
Perfect.
All right. So Bridget, if you could just let me know whenever you could see my screen.
Yeah, we are still on mine, so let me stop sharing.
Here we go. Let's see. How about now?
Yep, I can see yours.
All right, so let's take a look at the other end of this platform, right? So we have the schedule creator side that Bridget has just walked us through, but what does that look like for the people that are being assigned these shifts? So currently I am Johanna today for the sake of this demo. And so as Johanna, I would log into my Teams and I'm gonna head to the Shift app here. And as you can see, Bridget and I have pinned this app to our navigation bar for the sake of this demo. This isn't something that can be done by an end user basis in the government cloud right now, but this can be done in the admin center. So if you would like to pin this app for easier access for your end users, we actually included a short little demo of screenshots on how to do that in the slide deck that we'll send out, or reach out to your CSM or someone on your account team. They would be happy to walk you through it. But if you do not have shifts pinned, it just lives right here in this little ellipses. It's super easy to find. But as Johanna, I'm going to click into the Shifts app here, and what's going to happen is one of two things. So if you have not opened the Shifts app in a while, it will likely lead you to a screen that has you select which schedule of yours you'd like to open, especially if you are an employee on a couple different schedules. Or if you have recently been in a schedule like I have, it's going to open your most recent schedule. If you would like to change schedules, so per se, I'd like to be in one of my different schedules, not this C.1. It's right here in the top left-hand corner, and I can see all of the schedules that I have shifts in. And I also see this new schedule button here at the bottom. That is how you create a new schedule for your team. But as Bridget mentioned, schedule creation can only be done by a team owner. So this is a dead link if you're not a team owner, right? So Johanna does not own any teams. She cannot start sending out schedules to her teammates. I cannot create anything. But if you do have someone in your organization that is, it is their role to create these schedules, you may want to promote them to team owner, so that is something they can do. So here I am in the schedule that Bridget has created for Johanna. So let's explore a little bit here. As you can see, obviously, all I can see as of right now is the shifts assigned to me. But what I'd like to see is what the rest of my team is doing, right? I'd like to see who's going to be working with me. What kind of shift does everyone else on my team have? So we have some great filter options here in the top right-hand corner. And I'm going to start with view here. So if you click into view, you're going to see some access into your shifts, which is what we're in right now. But I'm actually interested in team shifts, so I'm going to select that option. And as you will see here, it has now populated every single shift of one of my team members that Bridget has created as the schedule owner, so I can get a much better view into what everyone else is doing. You've got some other options up there as well. If you just want to see things like open shifts, or if you want to just see the shift and not see who it's assigned to, completely up to you. Some other filter capabilities we have here is maybe I just want to see who is working in my job group, right? I don't work in field repairs. I hardly see these people, so I don't really mind what their shifts look like. I'm a little bit more concerned with this upper half. So what I'm going to do is head to filters here, and now I can filter by group. So I am in the service call center group. That's where I'm going to filter. And as you'll see, it removes that field repairs from the bottom, or you could filter by person. So maybe I want to compare my schedule directly to Deborah's because we're kind of talking about a schedule swap. We want to see one for one them next to each other. So you have that option there, or again, this group one here, just to kind of narrow down your search after you've spread it out to the team. So now I've got this view that I really like. Everyone on my team in my job title, I can see what's going on. Some few other options you have up here. You can, of course, print the schedule if you're someone that likes to print your schedule and hang it up somewhere. Definitely have that option. And then you've got this view option by day, week, or month. So I do like the week view when you're just trying to get a view of, what's everyone doing, when's everyone working. But I think that this day view here is especially helpful for the day of the shift, right? Because it kind of shows you, who's going to be opening this morning and who's going to be closing. It shows you a much better view in how the day is going to be run, as opposed to week is just going to show you, right, what day those people are working. It'll give you the time, but it's not really organized by time. And then of course you have the month view, which will give you a look into, who has scheduled some days off, who's working a lot, who has some shifts I would like, etc. Completely up to you. So for the sake of this, I prefer the week view. I really narrowed this down how I like. Ultimately, right, you got a lot of options on how you want to narrow this search down. But inside of the schedule here, you've got some more options. So if I hover over some of these shifts here, I can click into my coworkers' shifts and get some details. So anything that Bridget may have listed here as tasks for this shift or a break for this shift, right? I can get a look into what my coworkers are up to. And I can also click into one of my own shifts here. And I have two buttons. So I've got the swap button and the offer button in my schedule. And this is a spot where you can swap your shifts with other coworkers or offer up your shifts to other coworkers. Ultimately, and I'll show you in just a second, when I click one of these buttons, it just kicks me into this tab here. It's just two spots that do the same thing. So if I click the swap button here, you'll see, right, it kicked me into that request tab. All it did was auto select that shift that I had selected. So it kind of saves me time on this step. So what you'll want to do is select the shift you would like to swap. Select the shift you want to swap it for. So I'll go ahead and see, looks like we got some shifts on the 15th, and I would really like Deborah's 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. shift instead. And I will say, and I will send this request. So anytime you send a request that involves another employee, that is a two-step request process. This does not go right to Bridget or the schedule owner for approval. This is actually going to go to Deborah first. Deborah has to approve that she is okay with this swap, and then it's going to go ahead and go to the schedule owner for final approval. So just keep that in mind. Make sure that who you're trying to swap with knows that you're trying to do that so they can approve it or deny it, and don't kind of leave you hanging there. So I'll send this request out, and now that request is going to go to Deborah for her response. If I click back into the schedule here and select the offer option instead, again, it's going to kick me over right to that request tab. And a really similar process here. I want to offer this shift that I selected, and who do I want to give it to? Maybe Jordan was asking for it. I can leave a note here if I'd like and send it along. Again, that is going to Jordan first for their approval, and then on to the shift manager or the schedule manager. I do not have to click on my shifts the way I was to offer those up. I can do it right from this tab. As you'll see, if I cancel this, here you're going to see any of the requests you have in progress, anything that has been completed, approved, denied, maybe you canceled it. You'll see all that history here. And then to create a new request, I can select this button in the top left. I'll see this card again, and really you've just got one more option here for time off. But if I clicked into swap or offer, right, same thing. I'll select my shift, who I want to offer it up to, some notes, right, my shift, who I want to switch with, and some notes, and then time off. I can request time off on certain days. Maybe I am taking a vacation, or I know I have a doctor's appointment coming up. You've got the option to either select all day or a specific time that maybe you just won't be able to make it in. You've got your reason here. So I'll say I have vacation on, let's say, the 21st, and I will ask for the day off. And I can go ahead and send this over, and that will go right to the schedule manager, and they can either approve or deny that request. And I will get a little completed notification when that request has been approved or denied. So that covers most of the end user side of this, right? Of course, we've got some schedule notes up here. It's really nice to remind any of your first line workers to keep an eye on those notes up there if you want to add things like general manager will be in office today, or any reminders for any COVID response procedures that you've put into place, or anything that needs to get done by the end of that specific day, right? Great to add it as those notes at the top. And then otherwise, Bridget, if you would like to share the PowerPoint again, we can show some of the resources that we have added that we'll send out to everyone. We've got a mobile app demo in there and a lot of QuickStart guides. It's a really full deck this week.
Yes, thank you, Darby. And we have a lot of great questions. If we cannot get to them all, we will take all of them and publish the answers to them. And we will make sure that everyone that joined does get the answer to those questions. I think something to point out too, there's been a lot of questions about ownership of the shifts. The only people that can make edits and the only people that can approve or deny requests are the specific owners of the team. So if there are multiple owners in the team, Darby, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's to my understanding that every owner of the team does have editing power in shifts.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Yes, so you'll want to make sure that whoever needs to edit is promoted. If they're not already an owner, they will need to be promoted as an owner within the team. So great, Darby, thank you. And let me quickly share my PowerPoint screen back out. Oop. Are you able to see it, Darby?
I'm still seeing my screen right now.
Hold on. Oh, here we go. You'll need to stop sharing, I believe. Or can you cue me into the... Okay, there we go. Should see it now.
All right, yep, I see it.
All righty, so let me jump to the end here, and thank you everybody. So we do have step-by-step instructions for mobile. Again, we will attach this out at the end. This is helpful for those that might only be viewing this on a mobile device. We also have QuickStart guides for shifts as well. So here we have a little reminder page of how to do it step by step. If for those that might learn better this way. You also have a quick start guide for mobile. And then lastly, we do have a page of additional resources. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we have a guide for scheduling shifts for office workers returning to work, along with a how-to video. We have a LinkedIn Learning course. And if you want to know how to set up shifts within your IT admin panel, we have that. And then what I'd also like to call on is this Power Automate template for shifts. Once you get a hold of shifts, and if you're interested in it, there are templates and they're included in here in our GitHub portal on how to specifically automate certain requests. So if you feel like you're getting advanced and you want to add something more in there, I have added this Power Automate template in here. And lastly, as supplementary information for anybody on the call that might be an IT admin that needs to implement this in their admin panel, this is a step-by-step guide I just took a screenshot of that walks through that. So that is currently all we have. Again, apologies for the delay at the beginning, but thank you so much for jumping over and joining us on this. You know, it was a short amount of time, and there's many other things that we could cover. So if there is great interest in this, feel free to reach out to us with any other questions you might have. And if we need to walk you through certain parts of the demo, we are happy to do that again. And I will stay on for a few minutes to try and answer any questions in the chat. But thank you so much for joining, and we will see you next month.